My name is Major Sarah Caldwell. I have served my country for 12 years. I have stood in places most people only see on the news. I have missed birthdays, holidays, funerals, all in the name of duty. But nothing prepared me for the message I received on a quiet Tuesday afternoon, sitting in my office at the base. It was from my father. 6 words that changed everything. Don't come to your sister's wedding. I read it 3 times, thinking my eyes were playing tricks on me. Then came the second message. The guest list is already full. I'm sorry, Sarah.
Sorry.
He said sorry, like this was a scheduling conflict. Like I was a co-worker being uninvited from a lunch meeting, not his daughter being erased from her only sister's wedding day. I sat there in my uniform, medals on my chest, and felt smaller than I had ever felt in my life. I called him immediately. He didn't pick up. I called again, straight to voicemail. I texted my sister, Emily. No reply. For 3 days, silence. Complete, deafening silence from the family I had given everything for. I want you to imagine that feeling. You defend a country from thousands of miles away, and the people closest to you cannot even find room for you in a wedding hall. I did not cry that day. Soldiers learn not to cry in front of others. But that night, alone in my quarters, I let it out. Every tear I had been holding back for years. I did not know it yet, but this was only the beginning. Because 2 weeks later, a photo would surface. A photo that would tear my family's carefully built lie wide open. And when it did, the same father who banned me from that wedding would be the one begging for my forgiveness. This is the story of how silence, truth, and one photograph exposed a betrayal that had been hiding in my family for years. To understand why that text hurts so much, you need to understand my family. Growing up, Emily was always the golden child. She was 3 years younger than me, beautiful, charming, and adored by everyone who met her. I was the quiet one, the responsible one, the one who got good grades but never got the spotlight. When I joined the military at 18, my father barely reacted. He said, "Are you sure that's a good idea for a girl like you?" Emily, meanwhile, got a full college fund, a car for her birthday, and constant praise for every small achievement. I never resented her for it. She was my sister, and despite everything, I loved her. I sent money home when I could. I called on holidays even from deployment zones with terrible signal. I flew back for her graduation, missing an important training exercise to be there. But somewhere along the way, I became invisible in my own family. My achievements were mentioned briefly, almost as an afterthought, while Emily's smallest updates were celebrated like national holidays. Still, I never expected to be excluded from something as important as her wedding. Weddings are supposed to bring families together, not tear them apart. When my father sent that text, something inside me shifted. Years of being overlooked, dismissed, and quietly pushed aside came rushing back all at once. I realized this wasn't really about a guest list. This was about a lifetime of being told, in 100 small ways, that I did not matter as much as my sister did. But I still did not know the real reason behind that message. I thought it was simply favoritism, the same old pattern repeating itself. I had no idea there was something far more serious hiding underneath. A secret my family was desperately trying to protect. And soon, without even meaning to, I was going to be the one who exposed it. 2 weeks after the wedding I was banned from, my cousin Rachel sent me a message. She said, "Sarah, you need to see this," followed by a photograph. The picture was from the wedding reception. My sister Emily stood in her white dress, laughing, surrounded by guests. My father stood proudly beside her. And there, in the background of the photo, unmistakably visible, was a face I recognized instantly. It was Daniel, my former fiancé. 3 years earlier, Daniel had left me 2 weeks before our own wedding, taking a large portion of the money we had saved together, money I had earned through overseas deployments and dangerous assignments. He disappeared without a proper explanation, leaving me heartbroken and financially set back for years. I had not seen or heard from him since. And now, here he was, standing in my sister's wedding photo, dressed in a suit, clearly not just a random guest, but seated at the family table. My hands trembled as I zoomed into the photo. My stomach turned. I called Rachel immediately. Rachel, why is Daniel in this picture? There was a long pause. Then she said quietly, Sarah, he's Emily's husband. That was her wedding to him. The room seemed to spin around me. My own sister had married the man who had betrayed and stolen from me. And my father, the man who told me the guest list was full, had known the entire time. That was the real reason I was banned from the wedding. Not because there wasn't room for me, but because they were terrified of what would happen if I found out who the groom was. They had planned around me. They had built an entire lie just to keep me from discovering the truth on that day. I did not sleep that night. I sat with my laptop, going through old messages, old photos, trying to understand how long this had been going on. I found it. A photo posted quietly on a mutual friend's account from over a year earlier. Emily and Daniel at a restaurant, her hand resting on his arm, smiling like a couple who had been together for a long time already. A year. They had been together for at least a year, possibly longer, while I still believed Daniel had simply vanished from my life out of guilt or fear. I called my mother, hoping she at least would tell me the truth. Her voice shook when she answered. Sarah, please let it go. It happened. We didn't want to hurt you further. Hurt me further? I said. You let him take my money, break my heart, disappear, and then you let my own sister marry him without telling me? That's not protecting me, Mom. That's protecting them. She had no answer, just silence and quiet crying on the other end of the phone. I understood then that this wasn't a simple case of favoritism. This was a calculated cover-up. My father, my mother, and my sister had all agreed to keep me in the dark, to erase me from an important event, simply because the truth was too uncomfortable, too shameful for them to face directly. I felt something harden inside me. Not hatred exactly, but a fierce, quiet determination. I was done being the family member who accepted scraps of the truth. I was done being pushed aside to protect everyone else's comfort. If they wanted silence, I would give them the opposite. I would bring everything into the light, calmly, clearly, and without apology. I want to be honest with you. My first instinct was anger. I thought about exposing everything publicly, posting the photos, telling every relative, every family friend, embarrassing them the way I had been embarrassed. But I stopped myself. Revenge built on humiliation rarely brings real peace. I did not want to destroy my family. I wanted the truth to finally exist in the open, without lies protecting it anymore. So instead of a public post, I did something different. I called a small family gathering, the kind we used to have before everything fell apart. I told my parents and my sister I wanted to talk calmly as a family one final time. They were nervous. I could hear it in their voices when they agreed to meet. I sat across from them in my father's living room, the same house I grew up in, feeling like a stranger in it now. I placed my phone on the table, the photo of Daniel at the wedding clearly visible on the screen. I know everything, I said quietly. I know Daniel is Emily's husband. I know you all knew who he was. I know why I was really banned from that wedding. The room went completely silent. My sister's eyes filled with tears. My father looked down at his hands, unable to meet my gaze. I'm not here to scream or destroy this family, I continued. But I need you all to understand something. You didn't just keep a secret from me. You chose his comfort and Emily's happiness over my right to know the truth about my own life. I let the silence sit there, heavy and honest, for the first time in years. My father finally spoke, his voice breaking. Sarah, we were scared. We thought if you found out before the wedding, you would try to stop it, or it would ruin everything for Emily. So instead, I said, you decided it was easier to erase me completely and let me find out through a photograph sent by a cousin, instead of hearing it from the people who claimed to love me. Emily broke down crying. I'm sorry, Sarah. I should have told you myself. I was a coward. I let Dad handle it because I couldn't face you. I looked at her, really looked at her, and for the first time I saw not just my golden, favored little sister, but a person who had also been shaped by a family that avoided hard truths at all costs. I'm not asking for an apology because I want you to feel guilty forever, I said. I'm asking for honesty from now on. If this family is going to survive, we cannot keep building it on secrets and convenient silence. My mother reached for my hand. You're right. We failed you. Not just with the wedding. For years. It was not a dramatic movie moment. There were no perfect words that erased years of feeling invisible. But something shifted in that room. The lie that had been protected for so long was finally broken, replaced with something painful, but real. For the first time in years, my family was not performing for each other. We were simply, quietly honest. In the months that followed, things did not magically become perfect. Trust takes far longer to rebuild than it takes to break. But slowly, real conversations started replacing the careful, curated version of our family we had all been performing for years. My father called me more often, not just on holidays, but simple check-ins, asking about my work, my life on base, things he had never really asked before. My mother started being honest with me about family matters instead of shielding me from uncomfortable truths. Emily and I had several long conversations, some angry, some tearful, but all necessary. She admitted that marrying Daniel while hiding it from me was one of the most cowardly choices she had ever made, and she promised there would be no more secrets between us. As for Daniel, he reached out once, trying to explain himself. I did not respond. Some conversations are not worth having. His actions had already spoken clearly enough 3 years earlier, and nothing he said now could undo that. I returned to my base with a strange kind of peace. Not because everything was perfectly resolved, but because the truth was finally out in the open, no longer hidden behind excuses and convenient lies. I realized something important during those months. Strength is not only shown on the battlefield. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is sit calmly across from the people who hurt you and simply ask for the truth, without screaming, without destroying, but without backing down either. Looking back now, I understand that the text message banning me from my sister's wedding was never really about a guest list. It was about a family choosing comfort over honesty, silence over respect. But that single photograph, one small image in the background of a wedding celebration, was enough to unravel years of carefully protected secrets. If there is one thing I want you to take from my story, it is this. Truth almost always finds its way to the surface, no matter how carefully it is buried. And when it does, the people who tried hardest to hide it are usually the ones left with the most to explain. Do not let anyone convince you that staying silent to protect someone else's comfort is the same as protecting you. Real love, real family is built on honesty, even when that honesty is difficult. I forgave my family, not because what they did was acceptable, but because holding on to anger forever would have cost me more than it cost them. Forgiveness, I learned, is not about excusing betrayal. It is about refusing to let it control the rest of your life. If you are watching this and someone in your life has chosen silence over honesty with you, know this. You deserve the truth. You deserve to be included, respected, and valued, not quietly erased to keep someone else comfortable. Thank you for watching my story. If it touched you in any way, share it with someone who needs to hear it today.